Kathy, are you really planning to come to our house tomorrow to greet us? It's quite late now, and isn't the lack of a greeting up until this point leaving a rather negative impression on us?
By our house, does this mean that you're Cameron's father?
Isn't it obvious from my name? Your fiancé's last name is McNellis, right? When I ask if you're coming to greet us at our home, it's only natural for you to understand who I am based on that context. Surely you should be able to deduce who I am from the situation.
Yes, you're right. I truly apologize for my oversight. I honestly didn't expect a message from Cameron's father, and I wanted to confirm that just in case.
Even so, it seems you might be lacking in judgment. Sure, it's difficult to be smarter than Cameron, but that doesn't mean your response should be this weak. By the way, do you even know my name? If you had a decent amount of common ground with Cameron, you should have recognized my name when you saw it. He must have mentioned me to you at some point, right?
Your name? Yes, I believe Cameron did mention it. It's Bernard, and you're a local politician, correct? I see now that my question was indeed foolish. I apologize sincerely for that.
I could give you some credit for being able to apologize sincerely, but here's the thing. Since Cameron is going to be a respectable politician in the future, it makes me a little worried if his future wife is this clumsy. Are you truly the one Cameron chose, or do you perhaps have some kind of leverage over him?
I would never do something like that. We're in a genuine relationship and we're engaged. I plan to show up tomorrow fully focused and ready to meet everyone.
All right then. At the very least, I hope you'll present yourself well enough not to feel embarrassed standing next to Cameron. You graduated from the same university, didn't you? This wasn't just a matter of connections, right?
I assure you there were no connections involved. I worked diligently to study for and pass the entrance exams. I sincerely apologize for my earlier misstep, but there's really no need for concern regarding my education and preparedness. I have put in a significant amount of effort in my studies and believe I am well equipped to enter society.
Well, that's reassuring to hear. However, I must admit that your first impression has been quite poor. I genuinely hope you can make a better impression tomorrow.
Yes, I will definitely be more focused, and I look forward to meeting you tomorrow. How could you do something like this? This is just too much. Pouring ice-cold water on me out of nowhere?
What's wrong? Are you at the hospital now? You brought this on yourself. You need to know your place. Keeping the fact that you come from a single-parent family a secret from your son? That's outrageous! You're nothing but a scoundrel trying to get your hands on the fortune of a political family, and I just poured water on you to wake you up!
I don't understand what you're talking about. What is wrong with being from a single-parent family?
Let me break it down for you, all right? A man is only considered a real man if he can support at least one woman. So what's your excuse? You couldn't remarry? You haven't been chosen by any woman, and at your age you still can't attract anyone. Being raised by a worthless father like that just makes you a worthless woman too, doesn't it?
That is such a biased perspective. This is just too much.
This isn't bias. This is how the world works. There's a standard set for everything. A man who couldn't get married and a man who's known for not being able to remarry are considered failures. That's just how it is. Even if we talk about biology, a man is supposed to hunt and provide. And here you are still single. What a joke.
That's not true. My father raised me well. Please don't say bad things about him without knowing anything.
Honestly, you're not worth knowing about. And from what I hear, you're unemployed, right? Sure, it's true that a woman can just get married and stay at home, and it's true that as long as she can manage the household, that's all that matters. But to be unemployed before even getting married, that's just reckless. It's fine to dream about marrying Cameron, but that's just wishful thinking. Oh, it's so funny I can't stop laughing.
That's not the case at all. Right now, I'm just temporarily unemployed. I'm in the process of preparing to start a business. I've explained this already, haven't I?
How do you expect to succeed in business when you come from a single father who's a worthless parent? You're probably just attending some scam seminar, getting inspired, thinking you can do it too, wasting all your money on it. You should stop the pointless spending and find a part-time job to earn some money instead.
You really don't listen at all, do you? I have never met someone so awful in my life. My father is just as astonished.
Your father, too? Oh, did Daddy rush over to the hospital for you? Make sure to explain it well, okay? You're trying to marry a man who doesn't fit your status, and now you're crying because your father is sending you away.
You can say that now, but this is just temporary. My father says he won't forgive you, so you should think of your life as over.
Huh? If your parents are bottom tier, you're bottom tier too. Show me their faces. If you keep getting cocky, I'll crush you. Nice to meet you. I'm the bottom tier parent. You'll crush me? That's rich coming from you. Just wait and see what happens. What? Are you perhaps some kind of gang member? Ooh, so scary. Try something funny and I'll report you to the police right away. Who knows? You'll find out soon enough. Everything has been settled without a hitch. That guy and your fiancé both turned pale the moment they saw my face, just as I expected they would. I also recorded the entire scene on video, so I'll send you the footage later. Watching it will surely help you feel better about everything.
Dad, thank you so much. You really went to their house, didn't you? You even recorded a video? I can't believe you went that far for me, really.
Well, if I'm going to do something, it's important to have evidence. It's always better to have proof of what happens in situations like this. You never know when it might come in handy.
You're right, as always. You're really the best, Dad.
This whole situation was unfortunate, but I believe there's someone much better out there for you. After everything, I received a message from your fiancé that was filled with insults. Honestly, any man who can't stand by your side during such a crucial moment is bound to betray you eventually. I'm genuinely relieved that you didn't end up marrying that guy and that you managed to see through him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel the same way, so I'm okay. I never imagined I would get yelled at and insulted by Cameron for keeping the fact that I come from a single-parent family a secret. It's almost funny. Both Cameron and his father spoke in a similar tone, and I could almost feel the connection of the bloodlines in that moment.
I see. That must have been really tough for you.
But please, don't misunderstand me. I wasn't hiding the fact that I come from a single-parent family. Cameron never really asked about it, and I didn't even realize it until we had this conversation today. To me, it's just been a part of my life. I've never thought it was something I needed to bring up. I mean, my mom passed away a long time ago, and I never thought it was something that needed to be brought up in conversation.
Yeah, I figured as much. I'm not bothered by it at all, but that's why I was surprised. I never imagined that the fact that I come from a single-parent family and that I've never remarried would cause such a stir. I didn't expect it to trouble you in any way. I'm really sorry for putting you through all that.
Wait, why are you apologizing? You haven't done anything wrong. I've never been made to feel special from being in a single-parent family, so this was a huge surprise for me. And it's the first time I've encountered someone who has such a biased view about a single father not being able to remarry. I never thought things would turn out this way. In fact, I feel terrible that I made you worry about it. I'm really sorry.
You have nothing to apologize for. You haven't done anything wrong. Being your father's daughter isn't something you chose. You didn't choose to grow up in a single-parent family.
Don't say it like that. I know. I know how much you've cared for and raised me. I've been through so much as a girl growing up, and there were many things I didn't understand. But you always greeted me with a smile, even when I was struggling. I really do understand.
Kathy, you've really grown up to be such a kind child. Just hearing you say that makes me really happy.
Because it's the truth. That guy, that man who only talks a big game, probably never bothered to get involved in raising me. He thinks he's so great just because he brings in money. That's why he feels he can look down on single-parent families like ours from the sidelines. I'm not sad about the insults he threw at me. What I really couldn't stand was hearing him speak ill of you, the father who raised me with so much love.
Well, that's true. People who speak biased opinions so confidently are usually those who have never experienced anything themselves, who know nothing. It's pointless to worry about that kind of thing.
Exactly, so let's not worry about it. And I know that the reason you've never remarried is for my sake.
Huh?
I remember, when I was little, you once brought home a woman you were getting along with, thinking I needed a new mom. I got really upset that time. You asked me, how would you feel if you got a new mom? And I cried and shouted, "Mom is in the sky! I don't need a new mom!" You must have been really hurt by that.
Ah, so you remember that.
Of course. I remember being so angry that I didn't talk to you for 3 days. You apologized to me so much. I was just a kid then. I didn't want anyone else in our family, and it upset me. I still think of my mom as my mom, and that will never change. But that doesn't mean I'm against you marrying someone new now.
What are you saying?
I know that ever since the incident, you've been careful not to date anyone because you were thinking of me. You kept your promise that we would stay together, just the two of us as a family, and you've really stuck to it.
Kathy, but that wasn't because I wanted to do it for you. It's something I chose to do for myself.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that. Do you really think I've been living with you all these years without realizing that? It's easy to see those things.
Well, so you've seen through everything, huh?
But in return, you've been incredibly serious about your work, putting so much effort into raising me. I thought this marriage would be a way to show you my gratitude, and I wanted to tell you that I was getting married, but since that can't happen now, it feels like I'm not doing it well. But I truly want you to live your life as you wish. If you find a wonderful woman, I hope you can create a happy new family together. If that makes you smile, then I'd be happy.
Kathy, thank you. To hear that from my daughter makes me feel like the luckiest father in the world.
I'm just a happy only daughter. So I'm going to find a great person for myself too, and you should find someone good for you. Let's make both of us happy.
I understand. Thank you, Kathy. Let's think about how we can both be happy.
Yeah.
Kathy! I truly apologize for what happened earlier. Hearing about your single-parent family, I made unfounded assumptions and looked down on your family, belittling your father. I sincerely apologize for that. I never expected your father to be the one who recommended me to become a local politician. To think that he's a big-time politician like Jefferson.
How does it feel knowing that your father has a higher salary than I do, a man with a wife? If my father is not distinguished, then you must be worth less than garbage, right?
You are absolutely correct. This incident has made me realize that being part of a single-parent family is not a disadvantage at all. If you were raised with such love and care by a father as respectable as yours, I'm sure that you are an admirable person yourself.
It's quite embarrassing to see such a drastic change in perspective, isn't it? As a man, shouldn't you have a stronger sense of integrity?
While I would like to maintain my stance, I now fully understand that I was completely wrong in this matter.
How does it feel to bow down to someone you previously looked down upon as a bottom-tier woman with bottom-tier parents? What's it like to taste the humiliation of realizing that a father who never had a woman choose him holds a higher position than you, who is married?
It's more like my values have been shattered. I've learned a significant lesson from this experience. That's why I am genuinely apologizing to you. I never knew your father was such an outstanding person. If I had known, I wouldn't have acted so foolishly. Why did you keep such an important thing hidden from me?
I didn't hide it. I assumed you would understand if we talked, and for me, having my father in my life is a given. It seemed strange for me to brag about my father's standing as his daughter. As we continued talking, I thought it would come up naturally, and conversely, I didn't want to be treated kindly knowing you were aware of my situation, so I let the conversation flow. As a result, you and your parents felt free to insult us without knowing anything.
I truly never expected things would turn out like this. I deeply apologize. I hope that we can all get along as family from now on.
As family? You think we can be friends as relatives? How foolish can you be? It's amusing that you think we could become friends in this situation. Didn't you just have your father announce that all support would be withdrawn?
That would be a significant problem for me. Without your father's support, our family...
It's nice to be so carefree, isn't it? Rather, my father intends to expose your actions to the public and plans to destroy you.
Wait a moment, that seems excessive. It's true that I insulted you, but I've reflected on my actions and promised not to do it again.
Did you forget that you dumped ice water on me? I have a bruise on my face because of it. Luckily, my eyes are fine, but what if I had gone blind?
You're right. I sincerely apologize for that. However, please, just this once, forgive me.
But there's no just this once. You decided to cut ties with me based solely on your assumptions that I came from a lowly background. With regard to you and your family as nothing more than pathetic bottom-tier people, we decided you would never work in this industry again. People like you shouldn't exist in this field. You and your family should fall into hell and feel shame. Bernard seemed to be a good person on the surface, and that perception was shared by many in our circles. He had a way of presenting himself that was charming and engaging, often drawing people in with his charisma. He was the type of person who would enter a room and immediately light it up with his smile, exuding an aura of warmth and friendliness. Conversations with him felt effortless. He was a great listener and always had encouraging words to offer. It was easy to see why my father had initially placed his trust in Bernard. However, the day my father decided to reveal the truth about Bernard was nothing short of monumental. The revelation sent shockwaves through our lives, creating a ripple effect that would change everything. My father had never been one to hide the truth or shy away from uncomfortable conversations. His commitment to honesty was one of the values that he had instilled in me from a young age, and it was a principle he lived by. But this particular truth was so damning that it left a profound impact on all of us. When the news broke, it felt like the ground beneath us had shifted. We had been living in a carefully constructed reality, and suddenly that reality had been shattered. People around us reacted with shock and disbelief. Their perceptions of Bernard and our family altered overnight. Those who had once seen him as a mentor or a friend were now grappling with feelings of betrayal. My father, too, faced the fallout of this revelation. He had unwittingly placed his faith in someone who had deceived not only him, but also many others. The fallout was swift and merciless. My father and I were not just thrust into a personal crisis. We found ourselves at the center of a scandal that reverberated through our community and beyond. The whispers began almost immediately. Friends who had once stood by our side started to distance themselves, unsure of how to navigate the situation. Invitations to social gatherings dwindled, and the phone calls that had once been a regular part of our lives became increasingly rare. The isolation was suffocating. As I watched the people around us react to the news, I couldn't help but feel a sense of bitterness towards those who had turned away. It was painful to realize how quickly relationships could dissolve in the face of scandal. Good riddance, I thought to myself, feeling a strange mixture of anger and satisfaction. Those who were quick to abandon us had never truly understood the depth of our character, and I found comfort in the idea that we were now free from their superficial company. Yet amidst this bitterness, I also felt a sense of strange relief. My father and I had always had a solid bond, but this crisis forced us to confront our relationship in a new light. We were no longer just parent and child, we were allies navigating the murky waters of betrayal and deception together. This shared experience created an unspoken understanding between us, one that deepened our connection. Despite the chaos surrounding us, we made a conscious decision to focus on our relationship. My father and I recognized that we had the power to create our own narrative moving forward, and it was one that would prioritize happiness and resilience. We began to explore ways to rebuild our lives, starting with small steps that would ultimately lead us towards a brighter future. The first step was to openly discuss our feelings and fears about the situation. In the quiet of our home, we would sit together, sharing our thoughts and emotions without reservation. I appreciated my father's willingness to be vulnerable. It made it a lot easier for me to express my own worries. We talked about the importance of maintaining our integrity and how we could rise above the circumstances that had been thrust upon us. Even though the situation is difficult, my father said one evening, it can also be an opportunity for us to grow. We can redefine who we are and what we stand for. His words resonated with me, and I began to see the glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. We agreed that while the truth had initially torn us apart from others, it also provided us with a chance to forge new connections based on authenticity. As we continued our discussions, we set goals for ourselves. We wanted to focus on self-improvement and healing, recognizing that it would be a long journey. My father expressed his desire to pursue new opportunities in his career, ones that would align with his values rather than those that had led him into the web of deceit surrounding Bernard. It was an inspiring moment to witness my father's resolve to take control of his life again. Simultaneously, I began to contemplate my own aspirations. For years, I had been caught up in the expectations placed upon me by others, often sacrificing my own dreams in the process. The realization that I had the power to carve my own path was both exhilarating and terrifying. I decided to explore interests that had always intrigued me, but had been overshadowed by external pressures. I delved into creative writing, a passion I had neglected for far too long. The process of putting pen to paper became cathartic, allowing me to express my thoughts and emotions freely. In parallel, we started looking for ways to engage with the community in a positive manner. My father and I volunteered at local organizations, lending a helping hand where we could. It was through this service that we began to meet individuals who had faced their own struggles, each with a story that echoed our own. Hearing their experiences helped alleviate some of the isolation we felt, reminding us that we were not alone in our challenges. One day, while volunteering at a food bank, I met a woman named Sarah who had endured significant hardships in her life. Her strength and resilience were evident in the way she spoke about her experiences. "Life can be so unpredictable," she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "But it's how we respond to those challenges that defines us." Her words resonated deeply with me, reinforcing the notion that we could choose our reactions to adversity. Inspired by the connections we were making, we began to organize community events aimed at fostering support and understanding. We hosted workshops that encouraged individuals to share their stories, creating a safe space for vulnerability. These gatherings transformed into a source of healing, not just for us, but for others who had faced similar trials. It was rewarding to see people come together, united in their desire to support one another. As we began to find our footing again, my father and I decided to explore new avenues for our relationship beyond our discussions. We ventured into hobbies that allowed us to bond in different ways. One weekend, we took a pottery class together, discovering the joy of creating something tangible with our hands. The experience was both frustrating and rewarding. We laughed at our initial clumsiness and celebrated our small successes. Through pottery, we learned to communicate without words, understanding each other's movements and intentions as we shaped the clay. It was a reminder of the importance of teamwork and patience, both of which had become essential elements of our journey. Every time we sat at the wheel, we would exchange stories and thoughts, and the act of creating became a form of therapy for us. The combination of volunteering, exploring new hobbies, and attending workshops began to fill our lives with purpose. We set aside time each week to reflect on our progress and celebrate our achievements, no matter how small. These moments of gratitude became crucial for maintaining our mental well-being, reminding us of how far we had come despite the challenges we faced. Eventually, the idea of opening a cafe started to take shape in our minds. We envisioned a space where people could gather, share their stories, and connect over good food and coffee. The thought of creating something that brought joy to others was invigorating. We discussed the importance of building a community hub that embodied our values: authenticity, inclusivity, and kindness. As we brainstormed ideas, my father's excitement was palpable. He began researching local trends, gathering information about the cafe industry, and even experimenting with recipes at home. I joined him in these culinary adventures, and together we created a menu that showcased wholesome, locally sourced ingredients. The process became a labor of love, allowing us to channel our energy into something meaningful. One evening, while we cooked together, my father shared a story from his youth that had inspired him. "When I was your age, I worked at a small cafe in my hometown," he recalled, his eyes lighting up with nostalgia. "It was a community gathering spot, and I remember how people would come in, share their lives, and form connections over coffee. It was magical." His words resonated with me, and I could see the vision we were creating come to life through his memories. As the weeks passed, we meticulously planned every aspect of our cafe. We envisioned a cozy space adorned with local artwork and comfortable seating, a place where people would feel at home. We decided to incorporate a community board where patrons could share events and announcements, fostering connections within the neighborhood. Our goal was to create an atmosphere that encouraged conversation and collaboration, where everyone felt like they belonged. With every decision, we felt a sense of purpose growing within us. The cafe was not just a business venture, it was an embodiment of our values and a reflection of our journey. We wanted it to be a safe space for those who had experienced their own struggles, a place where stories could be shared and support could be found. Once we secured the location, we dove headfirst into the renovation process. We spent countless hours painting walls, selecting furniture, and curating the ambience we wanted to create. It was hard work, but we approached it with enthusiasm and determination. The cafe began to take shape, transforming from a vacant space into a cozy haven that reflected our vision. Throughout the renovation, we faced our fair share of challenges. There were days when the work felt overwhelming and we questioned whether we could pull it off. But every time we encountered a setback, we leaned on each other for support. "We can get through this," my father would say, reminding me of our journey and the strength we had cultivated. It was during those moments that I truly understood the depth of our bond, how we could rely on one another, drawing strength from our shared experiences. Finally, the grand opening day arrived, and I felt a whirlwind of emotions: excitement, nervousness, and a hint of anxiety. As we prepared to welcome our first customers, I looked around the cafe and reflected on how far we had come. This space, once just an idea, now represented our resilience and determination. We stood behind the counter, hearts racing as people began to trickle in, drawn by the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods. Each smile from our customers felt like a victory. The warmth of their appreciation filled the room, and I couldn't help but think back to the darkest days when it felt like we might never recover. We had transformed our hardships into something beautiful, and the cafe became a testament to our journey. The laughter and conversations that filled the air reminded us of the power of connection. As the days turned into weeks, our cafe flourished. It quickly became a community gathering spot, a haven for those seeking connection and warmth. We hosted events that brought people together, from open mic nights to community discussions, creating a sense of belonging among our patrons. The joy of witnessing friendships blossom within the walls of our cafe was incredibly rewarding. I often stood behind the counter, watching the interactions unfold, and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was what we had worked so hard to achieve, a space that embodied our values and allowed people to come together to celebrate life's moments, both big and small. My father and I often exchanged glances, silently acknowledging the journey we had undertaken together. In this new chapter of our lives, we learned to embrace the unpredictability of life. We understood that challenges would continue to arise, but we were now equipped with the tools to face them head on. Our bond had become unbreakable, and together we had transformed our pain into purpose. We were determined to continue growing, both individually and as a team. The truth may have changed our lives in ways we never anticipated, but it also opened the door to new beginnings. It forced us to confront our past, reassess our values, and ultimately led us to create a future filled with hope and joy. My father and I were no longer just surviving, we were thriving, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever life had in store for us next. And so, as we continued to build our cafe, we remained steadfast in our commitment to authenticity. We wanted our space to be a reflection of our values, a place where everyone felt welcome and accepted. Each day brought new challenges, and we faced them together, drawing strength from our shared experiences. In the end, we understood that our journey was not just about rebuilding our lives, it was about contributing positively to the world around us. We realized that our experiences could serve as a source of inspiration for others who might be facing their own struggles. Through our cafe, we hope to offer a sense of hope and connection to everyone who walked through our doors. As the weeks turned into months, the cafe became more than just a business. It became a community. We forged relationships with our patrons, many of whom became regulars, creating a sense of familiarity and friendship. Each interaction reinforced the idea that we were all in this together, navigating the complexities of life. One afternoon, a young couple walked into the cafe looking somewhat hesitant. I approached them with a warm smile, ready to assist. "Welcome, how can I help you today?" I asked, eager to make them feel at home. They shared that they had just moved into the area and were exploring local spots. We chatted about their experiences, and I shared my own journey, highlighting the community aspect of our cafe. As they settled in, I noticed how their initial uncertainty melted away, replaced by laughter and conversation. It was moments like these that reminded me of the power of connection. By simply being open and sharing our stories, we could create a space where people felt seen and heard. Over time, the cafe evolved into a hub for creative expression. We began showcasing local artists and musicians, providing a platform for them to share their talents. The walls were adorned with vibrant paintings and photographs, each piece telling its own story. Live music nights drew in crowds, and the energy in the room was electric. Each performance became a celebration of community, where people would gather to appreciate art in its various forms. I remember one particular evening when a local singer-songwriter performed her original songs. As she poured her heart into her music, the audience was captivated. It felt like we were all connected through the melodies and lyrics, a beautiful reminder of the power of art to unite us. The cafe's success brought us unexpected opportunities. We received invitations to collaborate with local organizations, participating in charity events and community initiatives. Each event allowed us to give back and reinforce our commitment to supporting those in need. We organized fundraisers, donating a portion of our proceeds to various causes, knowing that we were making a difference, no matter how small. Through these collaborations, we met individuals who shared our passion for community engagement. We forged friendships with fellow entrepreneurs and activists, creating a network of like-minded individuals who were committed to effecting positive change. Together, we brainstormed ideas for future projects, eager to expand our impact. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next story.